The Galactic Council had gathered in the Hall of Stars. Dozens of alien races filled the massive chamber, their eyes focused on the central screen. A ship was being broadcasted live. A human ship. It was Earth's first official warship to leave its home system. The humans called it the Ember. It wasn't large. It wasn't heavy with armor. It wasn't surrounded by escorts or support craft. It moved alone like a single speck drifting through the darkness of space, and the galaxy laughed. This is what Earth sends, said a tall, insect-like diplomat from the Ticcan Empire. It's a metal toy. Another delegate from the Vern Coalition, long and lizard-shaped, flicked its tongue and hissed. Terrans have always been strange. They talk peace but fly weapons. Even the peace-loving races smiled. The humans were young. Only a few decades ago, they had been unknown. Now they wanted to take a place at the council. With that ship? At the edge of the galaxy, in a region called the Drift Zone, the Ember moved toward a disputed sector. That region was claimed by the Thalan Empire, a powerful and ruthless military race. The Thalan had already warned Earth not to enter there. Space.Earth said nothing. They just sent the Ember. On board, the human crew was quiet. Commander Ryan, a man of calm focus, stood before the command table. Around him, crew members monitored systems, watched the stars, and ran diagnostics. No one laughed. They all knew what might come. A young officer broke the silence. Sir, multiple scans from long-range probes. Talon ships. Dozens. Maybe more. Ryan didn't blink. Expected. Activate Protocol Level 3. Begin silent mode. Yes, sir. From the outside, the Ember didn't look threatening. But inside, its systems were waking up. Earth engineers had spent years building the ship in secret. They used materials never seen by alien sensors. The armor absorbed radar. The engines bent light. The weapons, well, no one had seen them fired. Not even Earth's allies. The galaxy didn't know the truth. Not yet. Back at the council chamber. The laughter continued. A broadcast came in. A Challenge Fleet commander. The message played across every screen and the Hall of Stars. To the Terrans who think they belong in our space. Turn. Back now, or be turned into dust. This is your only warning. No reply came from Earth. Instead, the Ember adjusted its heading and flew deeper into Talon territory. They're mad, whispered a fur-covered ambassador from the Laroon sector. The humans are going to die. A fleet of 73 Thalan warships began to move. They spread across the stars, blocking every path. They wanted to crush the Ember publicly. To show the galaxy what happens when young races act bold, Commander Ryan looked at the screen. Time until contact? 14 minutes, the officer replied. Shall we broadcast our reply? Ryan shook his head. No, let them speak. Let them threaten. We'll answer with action. On the central deck of the Thalan flagship, Admiral Kriv sat tall and confident. Destroy that joke of a ship, he ordered Dot as the Ember flew alone into the darkness, heading straight toward the fleet. One thought began to rise among the watching empires. Dot, what if the Terrans weren't joking? Asterisk. The Talon fleet stretched across space like a metal wall. Their warships formed layers frontline destroyers, mid-range cruisers, and at the center, the command dreadnought. 73 ships, all ready to fire, and only one ship stood in their path, the Ember. The small Terran warship continued its course, showing no signs of slowing. No distress calls, no retreat, just silent motion, drifting directly into the center of the enemy fleet. Admiral Kriv of the Thalan watched the screen, his long fingers tapping on the edge of his chair. They do not respond, one of his officers said. No radio, no code, no surrender. Kriv bared his sharp teeth. Then they truly are fools. He leaned forward. Send the final warning. A message burst through all frequencies. Even civilian ships and nearby systems received it, too. The Earth vessel, this is your final chance. Turn away or be destroyed. We will not speak again. Inside the Ember, the message played silently on the bridge. Commander Ryan watched, arms crossed, unmoved. The rest of the crew waited for orders. No reply, Ryan said quietly. They already decided what they'll do. A senior tech looked over from the main console. Should we inform Earth's command? Ryan shook his head. They already know. Our mission hasn't changed. He tapped a panel, and the ship's lights dimmed. Activate Phase 1, full combat systems. The quiet hum of the Ember shifted. The floor vibrated slightly. Panels lit up across the bridge, red for weapons, blue for shields, white for AI assistance. Armor plates rotated and locked into place. The energy core deep within the ship pulsed brighter. The Ember was ready. Across the stars, other species were watching. Council observers had placed drones near the battle zone to stream the event. Everyone expected the same thing, one human ship against a fleet. It would be over in seconds, but still a few began to wonder, why didn't Earth pull back? The Thallon fleet moved into formation. Dozens of cannons were charged, missiles loaded, drones deployed. On the Ember, Rand studied the enemy on the tactical map. 73 ships, he said. We go silent now. He pressed a button. Outside, the Ember's energy signature dropped sharply. Its heat levels fell. It faded from most scanners. It didn't cloak. It vanished. The Thallon officers jumped in confusion. We lost visual. One shouted. Where did it go? Another yelled. KRIV stood up. That's impossible. A ship can't disappear. But it had. The Ember drifted quietly through the shadows. Sensors off. No lights, no signals. It coasted between enemy ships. Unseen. Inside. Ryan stood. Calmly. Mark priority targets. His crew worked fast. Flagship. 3 heavy cruisers. 2 drone carriers. Targets locked. Ryan nodded. Good. Load Sunfire cannon. Aim for the flagship. A large section of the Ember opened. From the outside, it looked like a small hatch. But inside, a weapon unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen charged up. The Sunfire cannon wasn't based on plasma or lasers. It used compressed solar fusion miniature bursts of star-level heat, focused through magnetic coils. The weapon locked on the Thallon command ship. Ryan gave the order. Fire. A golden beam shot silently from the Ember. It sliced through the dark like a knife of light. It struck the Thallon dreadnought directly, and then nothing. No sound in space. But light filled the void. In one instant. The largest Thallon warship in the fleet gone. No wreckage. Just ash and burning fragments. Back on the Ember, Ryan turned to his crew. Begin Phase 2. The small ship moved again, this time toward the next cruiser. Still hidden, still silent. In the Thallon fleet, chaos erupted. What was that? Officers screamed. Where is the enemy? Admiral Kriv is gone. Ships began scanning in all directions. Some started to move. Others panicked and launched missiles randomly into the dark. But they had no target. They were being hunted. By one ship. By a Terran ship. And for the first time, the galaxy was not laughing. Asterisk panic spread through the Thallon fleet. The command ship had vanished, vaporized in a single strike. Admiral Kriv, one of the most feared leaders in the galaxy, was dead. His ship, the largest vessel in the entire Thallon Empire, was reduced to dust in seconds, and no one knew how. Ship, shouted a Thallon captain, sweat dripping down his scaled face. Sir, we've lost all visual contact. A junior officer replied. It's like it vanished into the dark. Fire in all directions if you have to. I want that thing destroyed. Dozens of ships launched missiles, fired energy blasts, and sent out drones, but all in confusion. Their scanners couldn't detect anything. They had no target. Just fear. Aboard the Ember, Commander Ryan stood calmly. The bridge was silent except for the soft hum of energy and the glowing lights of weapon systems. His crew worked like shadows, efficient, focused, and deadly. Target 2 locked, said the weapons officer. Heavy cruiser on the edge of the left flank? Ryan nodded. Fire. A second golden beam erupted from the Ember. The cruiser didn't have time to react. The beam hit it directly at the center. The energy burst through its shields, tore through its core, and the ship exploded in a blinding flash. Back in the Thallon ranks, 2 more captains shouted orders. They have a super weapon. Their still cloak keeps scanning. They're picking us off one by one. In just under 3 minutes, 2 capital ships were destroyed. A fleet of 71 ships had turned into 69 and counting, and still, the Ember had not been seen. On the Ember's bridge, Ryan's voice remained calm. Begin drone deployment. Pattern Delta. Small hatches opened on the ship's surface. From inside. Dozens of drones emerged, sharp, fast, and silent. Each was the size of a chair. Powered by high-speed thrusters and cloaking fields, they rushed toward the enemy fleet. Inside one Thalan cruiser. A warning blared. Something's on our hull. What is it? The answer came too late. The drones began cutting through the armor silently. They slipped inside, disabled engines, destroyed control panels, and in some cases, exploded. One cruiser tilted and began drifting uncontrollably. Another erupted into flames from the inside. Still, the Ember remained invisible. The galaxy had never seen a war like this. Terran tactics weren't loud. They weren't full of pride. They were surgical, cold, efficient. In the council hall, silence fell over the viewers. The ambassadors watching the stream were no longer amused. The laughter was gone, replaced by tension, confusion, and growing fear. Where do the humans get this kind of technology? One delegate asked. Asterisk. Elsewhere, Earth received thousands of messages, some offers of peace, others full of caution and silence. On one remote space station, an elder alien general spoke to his apprentice. Humans waited in silence. Now they speak with action. Remember that they don't raise flags or sing victory songs. They let fire speak for them. Meanwhile, the Ember floated above Earth's moon. Commander Ryan walked the quiet halls of the ship. The crew had finished all systems checks. They'd cleaned every surface, repaired what little had been damaged, and logged their mission. Ryan paused at a small window. He looked out at the blue planet below. Earth. Home. He placed one hand against the glass. They'll never laugh again. He whispered. He didn't say it with joy. He said it with certainty. Asterisk. The story of the Ember spread faster than any signal before. In every part of the galaxy spaceports. Schools, command halls, people whispered the same tale. One ship, one battle, an entire armada. Gone. And at the center of the story always was the same line. They called it a joke. But that Terran warship burned their fleet to ash. Number. One laugh now. On a distant colony world, a group of children played in the sand. They didn't build castles or race hover bikes that day. Instead, they built a small black ship from stones and metal pieces. One boy stood beside it and whispered, "This is the Ember. If you make fun of it, it disappears you." The others nodded. Even children remembered. Back on Earth, the Ember finally landed at the military docks, hidden in a mountain valley. It looked unchanged, no damage, no battle scars. Like it had gone for a quiet trip through the stars and returned without fuss. Commander Ryan stepped down the ramp with his crew. No speeches waited for them. No reporters. Just a few officials. A handshake and a simple order. Debrief inside. That was enough. Ryan didn't need medals. The Ember didn't need a parade. Their message had already been sent and received. Weeks passed. Alien ships traveling near Earth's borders began rerouting around human space. Some chose longer, costlier paths just to avoid Terran patrol routes. Galactic forums began listing Earth as a critical neutral power. No one dared to write enemy. But no one called them harmless anymore either. An ancient warlord from the southern rim summed it up best. Humanity didn't grow big. Humanity grew dangerous. In secret labs across alien empires, scientists rushed to study the battle footage. They paused the Ember's weapon flashes, the shields, the drones, but nothing made sense. The tech was too advanced, too precise, and worst of all, it looked stable. That meant Earth had more, maybe many more. One empire tried to clone Ember's systems using stolen data. The prototype exploded 5 minutes after activation. They didn't try again. Meanwhile, inside Earth, Command's underground war room, leaders met. A general spoke quietly. The Ember's test was a success. What's next? A figure in a dark suit replied. The Black Fleet is almost ready. Let them keep watching the Ember. That's just the beginning. They all nodded. No one in the room smiled. This wasn't about revenge or power. This was about warning the stars once and never having to repeat it. In a quiet corner of Earth's capital. A museum opened a new exhibit. Inside a glass case sat a small piece of black metal, smooth, slightly curved. Nothing special to look at. The sign above it read, "Recovered from the Ember." From the ship that reminded the galaxy Earth is not to be mocked. Visitors stared at it in silence. Even without sound, it spoke volumes. And out and deep. Space? Far from any stars, the Ember moved again. Not fast. Not in a hurry, but with purpose. It wasn't done. Humanity had spoken once. Now, the galaxy would remember. Forever. They were always quiet. Another whispered. We never took them seriously. Maybe that was their plan all along. Back in the battle zone, the Thallon fleet was breaking apart. Ships tried to pull away. Others fired wildly into empty space. Their formation was lost. Coordination gone. And still, more ships fell. 5 gone. 10. 15. One by one. They were being erased. On the Ember, Ryan gave a new order. Switch to visible mode. His crew hesitated. Sir? That will make us a target, he nodded. Yes. Let them see. Outside, the Ember shimmered into view, now visible to all scanners. All eyes. It floated in the middle of a battlefield, with burning debris and crippled ships. But it looked untouched. Not a single dent. Not a single mark. Its dark hull gleamed, and the name Ember glowed red along its side. The message was clear. We're here. We're not afraid. The remaining Talon captains froze. And in that moment, when the Terran ship showed itself, they understood. This wasn't a joke. This was a warning. Asterisk. The Ember floated in plain view now. Its black hull glowed with red streaks of energy. Fire from wrecked Talon ships lit the space around it. The ship looked calm still, almost peaceful. But the Thallon commanders finally understood. This wasn't a scouting vessel. It was a predator. Direct all fire at that Terran ship. A Thallon captain shouted across the remains of the fleet. Over 50 ships adjusted their weapons. Lasers, missiles, and ion cannons locked onto the Ember's coordinates. Then the stars lit up. Hundreds of projectiles raced toward the small ship. Aboard the Ember, alarms blinked, but no one panicked. Shields at full, said the tech officer. Defensive grid active, added another. A faint blue dome surrounded the Ember as the first wave of fire struck. Explosions rippled around it, but the ship didn't move. It held position as blasts danced across its shields. The human technology absorbed or redirected most of the energy. The rest burned harmlessly in space, but then the Ember responded. Release the ash swarm, Rian said softly. A series of panels opened along the Ember's side. Dozens and hundreds of micro-drones swarmed out. They were smaller than the earlier combat drones, shaped like sharp black discs with thin fins that shimmered like glass. They didn't fly in formation. They flowed like smoke toward the Thallon ships. Inside a Thallon cruiser. The crew barely had time to register the alarm. Contact, Steiny. Can't lock on. Then came the chaos. The ash swarm entered through vents, cracks, and maintenance ports. They didn't explode. They ate. Each drone attached itself to a system, weapons, shields, engines, and began to melt it using high frequency. Sonic pulses and microbursts of plasma. In less than 30 seconds. One ship was disabled. Then another. Another. On the Ember's bridge, Ryan watched the map. Red dots enemy ships turned gray one by one. He gave the next order. Switch to offense. Target anything still moving. The Ember surged forward. Its engines flared bright as it shot through the wreckage. Smaller ships tried to escape, but the Ember was too fast. Its forward cannons opened fire blasts of focused light that cut ships in half. Boom. One. Destroyer exploded into flame. Boom. A cruiser turned into a drifting husk. The Ember danced between the wrecks, dodging what few weapons were still firing at it. Wasn't just winning, it was cleaning up Dot at the edge of the battlefield. A small Talon support vessel tried to run. The crew on board screamed as they watched the Ember turn slowly toward them. Faster. The pilot yelled Dot too late. A narrow beam from the Ember pierced their engine core. The ship went dark. Back in the council chamber, the alien diplomats stared in silence, some with wide eyes, some with fear. Some couldn't speak at all. A representative from the Yeln Confederation whispered, "That's not a battleship. That's a ghost." The Thalan Empire had always been one of the most feared powers in the galaxy. And now, their entire strike force was being erased by one human ship. As the Ember fired again, striking down a carrier in a single blow. A new understanding spread across the galaxy. This wasn't Earth's best ship. This was just the first. Asterisk the stars above the drift. Zone were littered with burning metal. Wreckage floated silently, twisted hulls, shattered wings, broken engines. Fires flickered in the vacuum, dying slowly. The Thalan fleet had been reduced to scrap. And in the middle of it all, untouched and steady, hovered the Ember. Inside the ship, the crew remained quiet. No one celebrated. No one cheered. They had done their job. The mission wasn't about glory. Commander. Ryan stood at the center of the bridge, hands behind his back, watching the screen. Report. All targets confirmed destroyed or disabled, the tech officer said. Any survivors? Scans show 4 lifeboats drifting toward the edge of the field. No weapons, no signals. Ryan nodded. Let them go. Let someone live to tell the story. He turned and walked toward the comm station. Prepare the message. Secure channel. All council networks. The crew looked up. They knew what was coming. At the Galactic Council Hall, the stream ended. The final image was clear. The Ember floating above the remains of the Thalan fleet. No words, no sound. Just silence. Ambassadors from every known race sat still. Some leaned forward. Others leaned back. A few had stopped breathing for a moment. No one laughed. A large reptilian member of the Carry Alliance finally spoke. How did this happen? They were supposed to be weak, muttered a delegate from the Ice Moons. Their fleet was small. Their tech was outdated. They were quiet, said the avian delegate from the Sky Clans. Too quiet. And then the message came. A soft alert blinked across every screen in the chamber. Message from Earth Command. Terran ship Ember. They opened it immediately. The human commander appeared. Clean uniform. Calm voice. No anger. No shouting. Just controlled power. This is Commander Ryan of the Terran ship Ember. We entered the drift zone to secure our trade route and investigate territorial threats. The Thalan fleet attacked without warning. We responded. He paused. Our mission is now complete. Another pause. To all council races watching, Earth seeks peace. But peace does not mean we are helpless. We don't boast. We don't threaten. We simply act. The screen went black. Silence returned to the chamber. But it was a different kind of silence now. Not disbelief. Fear. Anew. Race had arrived on the Galactic stage one that didn't yell for power or beg for status. One that didn't need fleets of thousands to prove itself. Just one. Ship. One battle. One message. And the balance of power had shifted across the galaxy. Reactions were fast. Some smaller species began secret talks with Earth, hoping to avoid future conflict. Others, like the proud Talari Syndicate, called emergency meetings to revise their war plans. Some military empires moved their fleets away from human territory just in case, and the Thalan Empire, they said nothing. No statements. No retaliation. They had nothing left to say. Back on Earth, news of the battle spread fast. The public didn't celebrate wildly. Instead, they watched in quiet pride. A ship called Ember had faced an armada and survived. Humanity, once mocked, once seen as primitive, had proved something important. They didn't need to shout to be dangerous. They only needed to act once. Asterisk. The Ember drifted quietly through space, far from the battlefield now. Its hull was clean, weapons retracted, engines running at low power. Around it, Floated silence. Not even wreckage followed. The ship had completed its mission. Inside the bridge, lights were dimmed. Most of the crew had gone to rest or repair stations. Only Commander Ryan remained at the main console. He opened. Direct channel to Earth. A woman's voice responded, calm and steady. Earth Command. Status? Mission completed. Hostile fleet destroyed, Ryan answered. No casualties on our side. Talon forces neutralized. Ember returning to safe zone. There was a pause. Then Earth Command said, Understood. Well, done. You may prepare message delivery. Ryan nodded. He pressed a button on a console labeled simply Message Protocol Alpha. A warning flashed briefly on screen. Warning, Galactic broadcast. Are you sure? Ryan pressed yes. Across dozens of star systems, screens flickered on. In government buildings, in military bunkers, on civilian news stations. Even on pirate satellites, the same message played. The image of a single man standing inside a quiet ship. Behind him, the logo of Earth Command. No weapons, no threats, just one human voice. To all nations and peoples of the stars, Ryan began, we are the people of Earth. You've seen what we're capable of. But understand this clearly. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to rule. We are here to survive. He looked directly at the camera. Peace has always been our choice, but peace must be mutual. We do not want war, but if war comes, we will not hesitate again. One ship, that's all it took. Imagine what comes next. The screen went black. The galaxy reacted in waves. Some called it a threat. Others called it a warning. But for many, it was a simple truth. Earth was no longer this silent observer. No longer a new race to mock or ignore. They had entered the galactic stage, and they had done it without asking permission. On the Talon homeworld, silence ruled. The High Council of War had received the report. 73 ships sent, none returned. Only 4 lifeboats escaped. Those survivors, when interviewed, said the same thing again. We didn't see them. We didn't hear them. And then we were gone. One of them wept on camera. The Talon military immediately called back half their fleet from expansion zones. They canceled invasions, paused research, and doubled border patrols. But it was too late. Their enemies had seen the loss. The Talon were no longer feared. They were broken. Asterisk.